It took you 15 seconds after we summoned you to show up.
Yeah, hopefully he actually was recording before you started threatening him.
I don't think he got that, but I don't know. Is that worthy of a raise?
Oh, raise? We don't even pay this guy.
Well, I know. That way, if I can double his salary, we still don't pay him.
Oh, yeah. Well, if I should go quadruple it, why
right.
stop at double?
We're quadrupling your salary, Craig.
That's right. You went from nothing to nothing.
And who am I?
I don't know. Who are you? All right. One of the worst intros in a while. I'm the Grumpy Dungeon Master Jay, and my co-host is the Grumpy Dungeon Master Christopher. We are the Grumpy Dungeon Masters. I've said that 3 times and said that combination of words 3 times very, very quickly.
No, seriously, who am I?
I think you're Christopher.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have you in the same room with me, so I actually can't verify that. It could be kind of like Schrodinger's cat, you know. I'm not actually seeing you, so I don't really know that you're there.
I don't exist.
And hey, we like to talk about role-playing games and stuff. By the way, Bruce was almost ecstatic that you had mentioned that Pathfinder does better minis than D&D.
I mean, yeah, not to harp too much on that subject again, but
yeah, we're not covering it again, but we can still talk about it briefly.
They definitely have overall better minis. And that being said, it's really hard to tell like what's in their boxes. I probably should have brought that up too, because like every time they bring out a set of minis, they usually release it with a book release. So like when Ravenloft got re-released, they had a bunch of Ravenloft minis. So a lot of undead and crazy stuff. A lot of it was relevant to the book, and there was a lot of extra things that weren't relevant. The dragons during the Fizz bands, the Witchlight, so all the Witchlight characters during all the Feywild characters during the Witchlight book. Right now, since there's no books coming out, it's Desert and Sea are the 2 most recent ones that have a lot of really cool, unique minis. But
yep,
you have the reason to buy them because there's no books to go with them.
My friend Mike brought up an interesting fact that we didn't think about when we were talking about it, because remember we were going over about the $300 Tomb of Horrors or whatever, and then the $800 collector sets and stuff. Apparently, you can actually just get a lot of those minis if you just buy the board games.
Well, you can get a lot of minis if you buy the board games, but they're not painted.
Yeah,
the Onslaught
but we're talking about $50 or $60 as compared to $300.
Yeah, I mean that gets to the whole like, do you want to have unpainted minis on your table?
Well, no, you can paint them yourself if you like painting.
Yeah, pass. The thing is that I don't like unpainted minis, so I like having the pre-painted. The pre-painted ones are really, really good right now.
I would save $250.
The newest game is called Onslaught, and when you buy the big board game, it comes with like a full-size adult black dragon, the Harpers, and the Zentarum, and a bunch of like trolls and goblins and whatnot. All those are painted. They're the same minis that you would find in any of the boxes randomly. So they're reprints of what is currently out there. And then they have faction packs, so you can get like the Red Wizards faction pack or a bunch of other faction packs, and all those minis are also painted, and those are more unique figures as well. So the new board games with the Onslaught stuff is really a really good deal because they're already painted. You can buy them in a group. So if you need Red Wizards, buy that thing for the Red Wizards, and you get a bunch of Red Wizards. So I didn't mention that last time, and I like that. They were also selling different groups, which like you could buy like goblin packs, like kobold packs, orc packs, ogre packs, and those are really good minis as well, and they're already painted. And like $40 for like 10 minis, which is a really good price.
Yep, and all that's awesome, unless you're speak Portuguese. Did you hear about them canceling support for the Portuguese language? Yeah,
I mean, it's unfortunate.
That's a big subset of people. Portugal itself, not that large, but all of Brazil speaks Portuguese too.
Yeah, but they may also know English, maybe.
That's like saying everybody here speaks Spanish. Like I can count on one hand how many people I know who speak Spanish. Like
Right.
I'm sure there are some people there who speak English, but Portuguese is their native language. So, for whatever reason, WotC/Hasbro decided to cancel all Portuguese language D&D going forward, and I don't know how many people in Brazil actually play D&D, but there's a lot of people that live there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, they are definitely outraged. I was doing a quick search to see if I could find any more info on it, and
I can give you their actual what D&D released on it.
I don't need to, because this sums it up right here. All recent WotC Instagram posts are flooded with Brazilians asking Wizards to take React that decision. Their decision being stopping the Portuguese.
Yeah.
It's not just D&D; it's also Magic.
Oh wow! Okay, I didn't even realize that.
So, I can see them stopping.
I know there are a lot of people in Brazil. They even have fucking world championships. I think has been in Brazil before.
That, and where was the One Ring found?
Was it in Brazil?
It was in Brazil.
I did not know that.
So, that's kind of what that may be the top end Hasbro people going, well, we're selling this many Portuguese copies, this many Portuguese MTG cards. At the same time, in the same location, we're selling this many English cards and this many English D&D books. Screw it, let's cut some costs, make some extra money, And it's really stupid that they did that. Because D&D, I could probably understand, but honestly, them stopping Magic, that's a little. I mean, I hate to admit it, but Magic is definitely more popular than D&D. I'm really surprised that they stopped Magic the Gathering Portuguese as well.
Yeah, because D&D, it says they'll continue to release products in English, French, German, Italian, Japanese, and Spanish. Now I know for certain that there are other languages that they do for Magic the Gathering. There's Chinese as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing they're just hurting for money, and that's what, rather than maybe fire more people, they're just halting some, costs going out the door.
Yeah, it's really
it's unfortunate.
Yeah. It is what it is, though.
Yeah. We can bitch about it, but we can't change it. I certainly hope that everybody who plays Magic and D&D in Brazil bitches and bitches and bitches and doesn't stop until they decide to bring it back. Yeah.
And they deserve it.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to play Magic and D&D.
I mean, it's a hobby, and I guess I'm fortunate that I live in the United States and that Magic and D&D came from here. But if I lived in another country and I could only speak that one language and they canceled my shit, I'd be upset too.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So, what topics you got? I got a few other things to chat about.
I want to talk about the only book release that's coming out for D&D here soon.
Okay. The only book release. All right.
The only book release that's coming out here soon.
Well, what do you define as soon? Let's go with that.
The next one.
Okay, there we go. Which one is next? I don't actually know.
It is the making of original Dungeons and Dragons 1970 to 1977.
Yeah, that's the only book I have any interest in at all this entire year.
Yeah. So they released some more information about it. It's coming out in June on the 18th. And I guess they had a bunch of printing issues as well, too, with this book.
Oh, of course they did.
So
that's par for the course with these guys.
Right. One thing they did go over is that there's going to be never before seen correspondences in the book between Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson. And they did have a panel at PAX Unplugged, I think back in January or December, where they talked about what was actually going to be in the book. It's 500 pages.
Oh, okay, it's a big ass book at least.
Yeah. And it contains a retrospective and historical account of the original D&D, contains original illustrations and notations from the original RPG manuscript. They were talking to Chris Perkins at the time. Perkins called it a replica of the original D&D manual, complete with footnotes, edit lines, and original scans wherever possible.
So did they actually converse with anybody knowledgeable about this stuff, or just write it all up on their own? Pretty much like they did with Dragonlance.
It looks like they wrote it all up on their own.
Most likely, yeah. They don't seem to be very good at actually going to the sources for things.
No. They also said the biggest draw of this historical perspective and chronicle about the origins of the game is going to be letters between Gygax and Artisan, while both of them were playtesting the system that would eventually become Dungeons and Dragons. The panelists also claimed that these correspondence have never been seen by the public, and so it remains a mystery what insights they might provide. And then they talk about who David Artisan and Gary Gygax were.
Sure.
They're going to reproduce like the original D&D manuscript with all the random tables and illustrations, type font, layout, and all that. They showed off some pictures, and then this tome book looks big and massive, but it looks like it has like they scanned the paper, okay, from like what they found, and then basically put that as an image and gave it a 1-inch margin all the way around.
All right.
So like, I really hope there's a lot of cool information in it, because the book formatting leaves a lot to be desired.
Having seen nothing, I've yet to see any photos or any of this stuff. My initial thoughts when I even heard about this thing is, oh, it's going to be a huge ass coffee table book that they're probably going to charge $120 or more for. Now that you've said it's 500 pages, I'm expecting closer to 150. I could be wrong, but that's just my assumption. And that it's really not going to be much actual info or really and truly behind the scenes stuff, so much as the current people at WotC's take on what they thought D&D was about.
Well, I'll put it in our podcast chat channel on our Discord, the link to the book on Amazon. You can find it on Amazon. Pre-order right now. It's $100.
Okay. So,
and you can kind of see what I was talking about of the weird scanning of the original book from that.
What's it called?
Dungeons and Dragons, D&D, the making of original D&D, 1970 to 1976.
Got it. Yeah, okay, I found it. That was quick and easy.
Yeah.
And of course, it doesn't have a TSR symbol or anything. It's got the huge current ampersand. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So just looking through, honestly, a lot of this looks like chainmail info. I think that's what it is.
Well, I mean, it's 1970 and 1976.
Oh no. Okay, it's not chainmail. I'm sorry. It's white box. It's white box and it's all the other stuff. Most of this, I won't say all of it, obviously, because they did say there was a lot of stuff that had not been released. So I'm sure they've got that. But from what I'm seeing, a lot of this just looks like white box information.
I think that's what I mean for the original reincarnation.
Yeah,
they're not saying the white box, they're not saying chainmail. But at the same time, I kind of feel like that it's going to be essentially that, and then maybe the iterations afterwards. Because 1976, the first edition. When did second edition come out?
Second ed didn't come out until 90, I think.
1989.
Yeah, 89, 90. Because I started playing right after it came out. But there were two Dungeons and Dragons for a long time. There was basic and then advanced Dungeons and Dragons. But before that was white box, and before that was chainmail.
Right. So yeah, they're only going to be talking about the original edition.
Sure.
Which was released in 1974. In 1976 is Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, which is what people call first edition.
Yes.
So,
yeah, and I mean, some of this it does look like, and I've only got a couple of pictures for this thing, but it does look like there is some chainmail stuff in there as well. So it's going to be a combination of both.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm looking forward to this book. This is what I wanted when I bought that other Legends and Lore book. That just was the shitty coffee table book that I didn't like. So I'm all for it. I really can't. I can't wait for this book to come out. I want to read it. I want to see their thoughts and how they talked about and designed the game, because that's what really is interesting to me.
If a lot of this, if the vast majority of this book is actually information of Gygax and Arneson and the other people involved in it, and how they really and truly thought about the game and what their intentions were, and a lot of correspondence between them, that would be awesome. That is not what I expect. Like I've already said, kind of what I expect. I expect it to be, a few of the higher ups at WotC talking about old D&D.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they should reach out to people who are around, because there are a lot of people who are around during that time period that are still here, and hopefully get stories from them and information. And maybe they did. I am completely just speculating here, just because we've seen it time and time again with WotC.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in it. I really hope that it goes through well and it is successful enough that people like it and they make more of those kind of books. Because I want to see how first ed came around, and then second ed, and then maybe into the third and fourth. Because that's what interests me. I really like the game design aspect of it all.
Yeah. It's a book, at $100. I'm sure it'll end up at my local bookstore. I will flip through it and see if I have any real interest in it before actually purchasing it.
I'll just flip through it there.
Well, if I flip through and I'm like, okay, this seems like something I would want, then I'll buy it. But it's not I have to have this by any means.
I have to have it by any means.
Yes, unlike the Tomb of Gyzaengaxx, which I really want. Do you know about this?
No.
So Luke Gygax has a Kickstarter coming out soon, and I'd love to get him back on the pod at some point, but we haven't talked about it in a while. But it's the Tomb of Gyzaengaxx, and it is basically an homage to his father. It is a adventure that can be run for 5e or for OSE, Old School Essentials. So for people like myself who don't really enjoy 5e, I could still go out and use this thing. And there are a whole shit ton of NPCs that are in this thing, including Luke Gygax, Gary Gygax, Luke's family, Elminster, not Elminster, but Ed Greenwood's in it. Errol Otis is in it. Like he's talked to all these people. He's got a whole bunch of people on board who are at least willing to give up their likeness. Professor Dungeon Master even has an NPC in here.
Nice.
Yeah. But the Kickstarter, I think it starts tomorrow.
Okay.
And I have no idea on what the prices are going to be, but it's something I've got. I got it set up, pulled up. I'm waiting for it to go live, and then I want to actually look into it.
Go live now.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, I still haven't backed the DCC Purple Planet yet. There's like 9 days left. I got to pay my taxes first. After that, then we'll see where I'm at.
You don't have to pay taxes.
That's all I have to do is pay taxes.
How many chickens do you have to give the IRS before they're satisfied?
Hey, nobody takes those taxes out for me. I got to do it myself. So anyway, it's that time of year again. But hey, once it's over with, I'll see how much funds I've got left, and then I can hopefully purchase the Purple Planet. I can get in on the Tomb of Gyzaengaxx. And I've also got plans on ordering what was it called? Brindlewood Bay, which is the I don't think you were here when me and Mike talked about it, or maybe you were, but my game of the year for 2024, where you have to play old ladies who battle Cthulhu.
I mean, who doesn't want to do that?
Yeah, for real. But it was a Kickstarter last year, and I didn't know anything about it. But now I can actually buy copies of it from their website.
Very cool.
Yeah. But anyway, look into the whole Tomb of Gyzaengaxx. Should be fun.
Yeah, the drought of D&D content that's kind of going on right now is really weird. Like I'm
Yeah, I bet you're
kind of
itching
freaked out
for that.
about it. Yeah.
Well, hey, get the Tomb of Gyzaengaxx. It is in fact 5e compliant.
I'll do your guys and gags.
Yeah, I mean, you won't have it until next year, probably, but
I'm actually still waiting on all the books that I backed during 2023, 2022.
yeah,
Not a single one of them have come out.
yeah, I'm the same way. I got the PDF. Did you see your PDF for
I saw the link
Margaret
for the
Weiss,
PDF.
Tracy
Yeah.
Hickman? Yeah, and I can't remember the fucking name. Never can. And now my download's not loading. The Skyraiders of Abarax, but the Skymaster, aka the DM's guide, came out. I'm guessing you haven't looked at it at all.
No, not a bit. I was kind of waiting to use that as content when I get a little bit more bored about things.
We can definitely do that. I've only briefly looked through it, so there's only a couple little things I want to even talk about. I haven't had much time to really peruse it. I will say that it has what Spelljammer should have had, in that it actually has a massive, massive amount of stuff on how to run ship and ship to ship combat.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, like the Skyfaring, it starts on page 53 and it goes all the way to page 95. So that's that's almost 50 pages of detailed information on how to run a ship,
Oh yeah.
which is freaking awesome. If I never do anything else with this book, I'll still be happy for that alone.
Yeah. I mean that to me is I want those rules. I wonder how many times I'd have to buy different side rules for that, because like Ghostfire Gaming had their Spelljammer book, and they had their own fight systems. I kind of want to take the two systems, look at them side by side, and figure out which one is better.
I mean, if you're running Spelljammer, I would probably go with the Spelljammer specific one. But if you're wanting to do airship battles, which is what this is, then I would probably utilize this system. But this, because it's airships and not in space or wherever, this is probably more relevant for
the Ghostfire didn't have the 3D like Star Trek kind of area. It was all like you're on a level plane fighting each other. So
be hard to not. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that any D&D system is going to have rules with a 3D plane kind of in mind. Like even basic
really hard,
combat,
yeah.
even basic combat doesn't really and truly take that into account, because then you have to start working out. You have to start doing trigonometry and shit just to figure out how far away you are from things, and that gets a little excessive.
Like the whole issue that people keep crying about, that 5e's broke because you can move faster diagonally than you can running in a straight line. Like you cover more distance.
Wow.
And yeah, that's technically true. No one cares.
Yeah, you're still moving the same number of spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it works off of 5-foot squares. You move the same number of spaces, even if technically you're moving further.
But when you run corner to corner, it should be every 2 or every 3 squares diagonally is 4 squares to the straight line.
Yeah, no, just make it easy. It doesn't have to be super complex. Fucking people, man. Speaking of something a little complex, since we're still talking on Skyraiders, at least I did start kind of scrolling through, and I think they've made a little bit of a mistake. So they're using this thing they're calling it insights, and it's basically like knowledge checks. And it's weird how they've got this written up.
Okay.
So if you want to perform an insight, which is to know information, then you have to call upon a persona. And I haven't delved really, really deeply into this, so I might be missing some stuff. So give me more time to truly go through it. But from what it looks like, if I want to know information, say on cartography and maps, I would have to call up on the persona of Sandu Rover, and they actually name all of these different personas, what their insight would be, and then what stats and what checks to use.
Okay.
And they expect people to be able to remember or know these personas. Now, I know you've dealt with this. Every DM who's ever run D&D for any length of time has dealt with this. It's hard enough to get your players to remember the name of actual NPCs that they converse with frequently.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying for years to get my players to remember the 9 deities that I have in my setting. And most of the time, they can't remember 1 or 2.
Fair.
So for them to expect anybody to remember, it looks like about 10 different personas just for making an insight check, aka a stat check. Good luck. I have the feeling this, while it might be a cool idea and add some flavor to the game, I think it's in most cases this is just going to go by the wayside.
I mean, I can't remember the names of prominent NPCs for terribly long.
Yeah.
I'm not going to remember. I can tell you right now, other than Torm, the Raven Queen, and Mistra, I can't name any of the other D&D gods.
Okay, I can name a lot of them, but that's that 15-year-old. Yeah, like I was 15 when I memorized all that shit.
Right.
Now at 48, I can't. No. Anything new, it's not sticking. Old stuff, it's still there forever.
Right. So that's my issue. It's like you're asking a lot if you want me to remember specific deity names and everything like that. Like that, I can't. Sorry, no.
Yeah,
I can't do that.
So if a DM was to run this as their setting and they ran it for a long, long time, and this is the only setting they're running with a consistent set of players, this might work out. But otherwise, this is just a cool idea that's probably just dead in the water.
Probably, yeah. So I was actually driving. I actually replaced my fridge, and I got a freezer from my friend Dimitri, who plays in my Saturday stream games.
Yep.
And we were talking about different monsters and whatnot. And I can't tell you how many times I went, what's that monster called again? I can't remember. That one, yeah, that one. Like, he would know some of them, but not all of them. And like, I'm just like, I can't keep shit straight. So to have me remember other extra things, it's... I don't even know my verbals for freaking Shadowmoor anymore. Like I
can't even remember if spells hit your own players. Like,
I have enough rule problems as it is. I don't need more.
Like we're playing Solasta the other night, and you remember this, but I'm gonna tell the story on here for everybody who hasn't heard it. We're playing Solasta, which is a video game of D&D 5e, and our friend Muffin is playing with us, and he asked, does Thunderwave hit players on your side, like your own team? And my immediate response was no. I don't know. I can't remember half this shit. So naturally he immediately cast it, kills his little wolf, which then stuns him.
That was great.
It was amazing. But it's just the fact of as you get older, you don't remember stuff. I don't know. I just make shit up. Like it's all I can do.
It seems to work. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, no, it definitely won't hurt your summons. Nothing to worry about.
That was funny. Someone should have clipped it though.
Yeah, I'm sad that didn't happen.
Jerks.
Yeah, well. I am enjoying the hell out of that game though. I'm glad we're finally playing it.
Solasta? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's definitely frustrating because it like, oh, this is the best 5e game. We take all the 5e rules to blah 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 blah. and then like
It's not 100% though.
not 100%, and it's like that's where all the problems I'm having with it are.
Yeah. Like the accuracy, I give it about 98%. It's pretty goddamn close. Even going so far as using the rule of you attack at disadvantage if shooting through one of your own teammates. Like that I don't even do that in my normal D&D game.
Right, but I get that. Like I get some of the rules. Like that makes sense, and that's something it's easier to do in a game versus a on the tabletop.
Yeah.
But for me, it's more like I talked up Pact of the Blade to our friend
I
friend
know.
Daryl.
Yeah, I knew that's where you're going.
So fucking much, and then have it to be the worst effing choice.
Yeah, because
game.
you can't summon your own blade, and apparently you can't use two-handers.
Well, you can if you had a lot of strength. He doesn't have any strength, so he has.
Oh, is that what it was?
He had to swap over to
A rapier.
A rapier. I think actually maybe it's a scimitar right now. And like even then, it's just like, sorry, dude. I know this sucks. Like it's bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but we're still managing it. Still having a good time with the game. But I agree. It would have been nice if if that hadn't changed. Like I've been playing through as a single player game, my own single player game of it recently, and like I'm not really noticing too much off with the rules. Like it's pretty darn accurate.
Well, yeah, I get that, but still, I feel bad.
Yeah. Yeah, such is the way it is.
Jerks with all your incorrect rules. Anyways.
Yep.
So talking about fun stuff that happened, I was able to stream my game this Saturday, and my crew is currently going through a sewer, and they're trying to find Xanathar's lair underneath Waterdeep. They didn't do much research on top of the surface to figure out like where it was, just like what they could do to stop the Xanathar. So they're kind of just like walking in blind.
All right.
So my wife in the previous game was like, I know we're going to fall into that stupid alligator again. The alligator's name is Bruce, by the way.
Is it really?
They fought it when they were level 3. And it was this big, I think I used the 2-headed alligator stats at the time.
Okay.
And I basically increased the size, made it so big that it couldn't like do its tail attack because it was as big as the sewer was.
Right.
Okay.
Can't swing around properly.
So it can't swing around properly. But this time they were in a bigger sewer room, and so I had them fight Bruce again, and I used there's a named alligator from Ghost of the Salt Marsh called like Salt Bite or something. Mm-hmm. And see, I can't remember his name, and I used him less than 2 days ago.
But you can remember Bruce.
Who doesn't remember Bruce? So, anyways, I'm using that stat block, and they're just tearing through him. And I'm like, shit. Really? He's a CR9 monster. They're level 7, and I bit one of them once. It's like, fuck it, I'm going to have this be my first mythic monster ever. So right before the end, I basically turned him into a mythic monster. You know what mythic monsters are, right?
That's the one where when it dies, it resurrects and gets more hit points.
Yeah, it resurrects back usually to half hit points.
Which I fucking hate. Just give it a lot more hit points.
But then it also does a special attack.
Just give it a special attack from the beginning.
Listen. So I had it get down. It got beaten down all the way, and I had it basically die. Like, it's dead. And then I basically started telling the players that they heard like this grumbling sound from him, and the alligator rises to his feet and breathes out this like radiation blast. It was basically Godzilla.
Of course it's Godzilla with you.
Of course it's Godzilla with me. And I hit the paladin with a line beam. He takes like 36 damage. And then they beat him down again. So I was very happy to do a mythic encounter. I liked how it worked. It worked with the flow of the game. at the flow of the encounter. And after they killed Bruce the final time, they basically had the priest run around, or the cleric run around the alligator while his AoE holy spell, can't remember that name, let alone a goddamn name.
Spiritual weapon.
No, not spiritual weapon. The
Spirit Guardians.
Spirit Guardians. So he ran around the corpse of Spirit Guardians while it was just dealing necrotic damage to it to make sure it was super dead. Then they basically started hacking the alligator to pieces. And so, like, okay, I have to give them something for hacking an alligator to pieces. So I actually had them roll on the treasure hoard table, and they got a whole bunch of stuff.
They get radiated crocodile or alligator chunks. That's what they get.
So they cut open the alligator.
Cancer. Delicious cancer.
So they cut open the alligator, and so this alligator's just been eating everything in the sewers. That's kind of just basically, it's just an alligator that's in the sewers. It's like Jaws. A bigger one always comes back later. Okay.
Yeah. There's 3 megs now.
Yeah, now there's 3. And it's eating everything in the sewers, and it's always hungry. And I didn't really come up with like a backstory as to why it's there, why it's always hungry, why it's always eating things. Because that was just me on the DM side. And so they roll on the random hoard treasure table. And they find some spell scrolls, which reminds me I have to give them what the spell scrolls are. And they find a bunch of gold, a bunch of statues, and a bag of holding.
All right.
And that's why he's always hungry.
He wasn't actually eating. It was stuck in his throat, and it just kept going down.
Yeah. So the bag of holding was in his tummy. And since it's magical, it doesn't go away, but it was open. So all the food is in there. I didn't really think about that until after the game, because they asked me what was inside the bag of holding. I said, it's empty. It would have been awesome if I said, like, you flip it open, it was just full of, like,
just rotted
stomach
food.
acid, rotted fish, body parts. It would have been so perfect, but it's like the thought happened so far after the game.
Yeah.
Like, I was disappointed in myself.
That is a missed opportunity, because that is absolutely how it should have gone down.
Yeah. But
sucks.
But they were able to go through the rest of the sewers, and while they were kind of just walking through it randomly, I did have a relative direction. Like, if they go north too much, this will happen. If they go east too much, this will happen. And they basically just went north too much. So they came across a Xanathar lieutenant. They actually don't know it's a Xanathar lieutenant. They'll figure it out later. But it's one of Xanathar's lieutenants. So when I was originally reading Dragon Heist, one of the rooms in Xanathar's lair is a room full of dead beholders. These are beholders that basically he killed, that he dreamt up. And this is before he got his dream nullifier device installed and no longer dreams of beholders. Because that's how beholders reproduce, if you didn't know, if you're listening.
Yeah, we've talked about it on here.
But so he has a dream nullifier now, so he can't dream. So he doesn't produce beholders, but he still has a room full of beholder zombies. And so I figured, way back when I first ran Dragon Heist, is why wouldn't this giant kingpin make the most of what he has? And what he has is a bunch of dead beholders. So, I dreamt up a Xanathar lieutenant that was a necromancer.
Yeah.
And this necromancer animates the beholders and sends them out. And he actually sent out a couple against the original party, which they were able to kill. Hence why Troll Skull Manor in my little Waterdeep universe is now called Beholder Skull Manor, because they kept killing these beholder zombies and like sticking beholder skulls on there instead of troll skulls. So they get to this necromancer lieutenant, and of course there's a beholder zombie there.
Yeah.
And the most epic fight ensues between my group and this necromancer. And the necromancer heard them coming, prepared for them. And this is the first time, probably in a long time, probably ever, where I made the monsters play super smart. And in doing so, I almost wiped the party.
Yeah, it's not hard.
So it knew it was coming, so it basically had the beholder ready an eye stalk blast against the first one that came around. I rolled randomly for every eye stock except for the first one. The first one, because they were waiting for it, because he had time to tell the beholder what to do, he made him choose Disintegrate. Okay? Yep. So that was the only called eye stock blast. And that hit the paladin and hurt him, but he saved, and the fight started. So my strategy with the necromancer was, and I'm using the new necromancer, not the legacy one. And that goes back to the discussion we had when Morning Canes came out, where they shrunk the spell list for spellcasters.
Yep.
And moved some of the spells to abilities, and took away their huge spell column that they had. So he still has a lot of good spells.
Did he have Fireball?
No.
He should have.
He had Circle of Death.
That's not Fireball.
So, well, I'm going to pull up his stats here real quick, okay? And if I would have played this guy even smarter, I would have killed the party. All right. So the party gets in. He has a once per day ability where he can summon 5 zombies. So he basically, once the paladin pulls in and starts attacking the beholder to start tanking for the group, he summons the zombies up behind him, cutting off the cleric and the heals and the ranged attackers with the zombies, while him and the other bandit captain finish off the paladin. And when they worked through half the zombies, he cast Circle of Death, and that almost killed everybody.
Yeah.
Then the paladin retreated a little bit, and my wife was the only person visible. So he cursed. I had him curse my wife. I had him curse it on dexterity, so she had to roll dexterity saves at disadvantage. And then I had the beholder attack her because she was the only person visible. And I randomly rolled the eye stock, and it hit Disintegrate. And I disintegrated my wife.
Again.
Now, it did 44 damage. Okay?
Yeah.
Just under average. My wife had 45 hit points remaining. She was 1 hit point away from becoming dust. And I was talking to her afterwards, and she's like, if you would have hit me with that and I turned to dust, I would have left the game and I would have cried for the rest of the night. And I felt terrible. And I'm like, I'm sorry, sweetie. Like, you were there. She's like, no, I don't blame you. That would be the 3rd character I would have lost to a beholder disintegrate. And I'm like, oh. And then I kind of like self-reflecting on myself, was like, am I going after my wife with disintegrate spells? But like, I roll them randomly. I make sure when I play beholders that I roll them randomly, because I don't like...
You don't want to target anybody.
Yeah, I don't want to target anybody, and I don't like the idea of a random beholder just knowing how to do everything.
Yeah.
If I were to play Xanathar, it might be different. I don't think I would randomly roll his eye stocks. But that's Xanathar. That's a named beholder who has who's a powerful beholder in his own right.
With beholders, I do the same thing. Like, I roll all of their eye stocks randomly. Sure, I don't have to. I could just say he does disintegrate every turn. But why? It's more fun throwing all the other stuff too.
Yeah. I could do the whole legendary action. Oh, look, you're paralyzed. Oh, look, here's the disintegrate. Oh, look, you can't save. Oh, look, you're dead. I get it. I can do that. I'm the DM. I can do anything I want. But that's not fun.
Yeah, where's the fun in that?
So 1 point away from being disintegrated. What really almost killed the party, like the mechanic that really hurt the party, was Undead Fortitude. Oh my god, could they not?
I hate it. Yeah.
Could they not? They could not kill the zombies, and they could not kill the beholder because of Undead Fortitude. They lasted like 2 or 3 rounds, at more than they should have.
Yeah.
All the while, the necromancer is just like pumping them full of spells. So the thing that I did with the necromancer is I used up his spells first, and then I started going after the players with his actual like special attack. So I have the legacy necromancer up in front of me. He's a 12th level spellcaster, 66 hit points, 15 armor class, and he has your standard array of necromancer spells like Animate Dead, Bestow Curse, Vampiric Touch, Dimension Door. He has Cloud Kill, Big B's Hand, Circle of Death, Web, Rave Enfeeblement, Blindness, Deafness. That's a good necromancer. Like overall, like if you're going to use a necromancer, use the legacy one because he's got a lot of spells to him.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the non-legacy necromancer, I can pull it up here.
Yeah, I'm sure the new one has way less spells, but he does get the ability to just straight up, here's 5 zombies, which is not really how spellcasters work. They can make 5 zombies, but you got to do it over time, over 5 rounds.
So the new necromancer is called Necromancer Wizard. Okay. I don't know why it's a necromancer wizard, but it just is.
I mean, it should be that's kind of reversed. It should be wizard necromancer, because I mean they're a wizard. That's what a wizard, that's what a necromancer is. They are just a wizard who has taken the archetype of necromancer.
So it still has 15 base AC with mage armor, of course. Its hit points though went up to 110.
Well, that's what was it, 55 for the other one?
66 for the other one.
66 for the other. So that's
these are both CR9 monsters.
Okay, that's a big increase. Did they maybe they're increasing the upcoming damage output of players? I don't know.
So it's spellcasting. It doesn't say what level spellcaster it is anymore, but the DC save is 15. On the old one, it was 15. So pretty much just still the same 12th level.
Yeah.
The spellcaster. So the spellcasting that it has 2 each a day of Bestow Curse, Dimension Door, Mage Armor, and Web. Okay?
All right.
So no Vampiric Touch or anything like that. Once a day can cast Circle of Death. Okay.
All right.
And so it has a lot of the CC from the previous one, except the blindness, deafness, ray of sickness, ray of enfeeblement, all that stuff is gone. Okay,
so it sounds like it has 2 necromancer spells. I'm not even sure on the curse, but I think curse and circle of death that's the only necromancer spells.
Dimension Door is conjuration, mage armor is abjuration, web is conjuration. So as a bonus action, and I didn't do this as a bonus action, by the way, I did this as an action. Okay, this is one of the few times where I did the opposite of what it said.
Yeah.
So as a bonus action, okay, so as a bonus action, it can summon 5 skeletons or zombies in any unoccupied space it can see within 60 feet. They take their turn immediately after the necromancer. They last for 1 hour or until the necromancer dies or dismisses them as a bonus action. So you're telling me...
As a bonus action, that just sounds like trouble.
Right, so you're telling me that you want this guy to Circle of Death, bonus action, summon 5 zombies.
Yeah. Yeah,
what?
Like that just sounds bad.
It has... so the original one has Grim Harvest, which is once a turn. If it kills somebody, it regains hit points. For some reason now, it's a reaction.
Okay.
When it kills a creature, it gets hit points back.
It's probably more usable that way, but
yeah,
I'd have to really look at it.
I like how they had Grim Harvest in the new one, because Grim Harvest in the old one is when he kills a creature that's neither a construct nor undead with a spell of first level or higher, the necromancer regains hit points equal to twice the spell's level, or 3 times if it's a necromancy spell.
Okay.
That's overly complicated. In the new one, it's when a necromancer kills a creature with necrotic damage, the necromancer regains 9 2d8 hit points.
No, I like the original one better, because this one doesn't have anything to do with whether it's undead, whether it's constructs.
It just has to kill with necrotic damage.
Well, yeah, that's fair. But I mean, I don't believe that constructs are immune to that.
Let's
not even sure that undead are.
This is going to get to the last part, and we'll circle back to Grim Harvest. Just remember, it says kills a creature with necrotic damage. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
That's the new trigger for this reaction. So the base attack of the necromancer, okay, outside of spells.
Yeah.
For the old one, it's a melee spell attack called Withering Touch. +7 to hit, 5 feet, 1 creature, 2d4 necrotic damage.
Okay.
Okay. Take a stab at what they did for the base attack for this necromancer wizard.
I'm not going to come up with a number, but my assumption is going to be it doesn't deal necrotic damage. Which means they only have one. Which
it does.
Oh, okay.
It does.
Oh, okay. Did they up it or lower it?
So it has an action called multi-attack where it can make 3 of these attacks.
Okay.
The attack is called Arcane Burst. Okay. It's
right.
arcane. It's called Arcane Burst. It does necrotic damage. All right. So the only 2 spells that this necromancer wizard has to trigger the Grim Harvest for necrotic damage is this melee attack and Circle of Death.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because Besto Curse, even though it does do necrotic damage to the target, it's only if you choose that one of the 4 things that are listed there, and you probably wouldn't choose that one. Okay. There's 4 curses you can choose from. You can only choose 1 curse.
Yeah. I'm aware. I know how Besto Curse mostly works.
So Arcane Blast is a melee or ranged spell attack. All right. +7 to hit. Reach 5 feet or range of 120 feet. 1 target. On hit, does 4d10 plus 3 necrotic damage for an average of 25 a hit.
So it's casting a spell without casting a spell, so you can't counterspell it. You can't really do much against it. And it gets 3 of these per round?
3 of them per round.
So what they have created is not actually a spellcaster. They have created a melee combatant who is capable of casting spells.
So that's kind of what I feel like.
Which explains why they gave it a lot more hit points.
So,
because it has to melee. That's the only way it's going to kill anybody. If the only spell it has to kill with is fucking Circle of Death.
Yeah. So the only spell it has to kill with is Circle of Death or this melee/range attack spell. So I used it once, and I did like 55-ish damage because I think 2 of them hit, and 1 of them didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
Against the paladin, I webbed the paladin up. He got restrained due to a bad roll. I walked up there, attacked him with advantage 3 times. 2 of them hit, and the player was just floored. Like, how is that the damage of its base attack?
Yeah.
Like, I went out of my way to use the spells first, okay? Because the Beholder was really the tank, and like it was just like trying to control the party behind the tank while the Beholder killed everybody else out and move on from there. So that worked.
Like if you hit on average, you're going to be doing like 22 damage, 23 damage. Somewhere like that's your average is 20.
Your average is 25
damage
per attack, so 75 per round is average.
Yeah. Well, that's assuming you hit all 3.
Right. So if I would have just ignored the spells, okay, completely, and done the same fight and just used Arcane Blast, I would have mopped the floor up with the party.
Yeah, no, I believe that. Like casting spells is a waste of time when your attacks do that much damage.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't like that Summon Undead is a bonus action. I don't like this arcane burst of absolute death and mayhem.
That's a cool NPC.
Yeah.
That is not here's a monster in the book.
Yeah.
Like that's something that you would craft yourself to really challenge the players and see if they can survive it. But as that just being a monster in the book, and I bitched a lot when they decided to get rid of a lot of the spells and just give them abilities, because I know how that goes, and well, that's how that goes.
Yeah, and like you kind of like look at. Stop biting me. I know. I'm typing.
Damn it, Craig.
I know you're here, Kitty. I love you very much too. I know I'm not giving you enough attention. I'm doing a podcast right now, but you just gotta hold on and don't bite me anymore.
Yeah, the whole thing is just it's bad. Like that's not even just. I, I don't even have words for that. That is just a shit monster. That is very poor game design.
I just think the Arcane Blast is just way too strong. Like you look at the spells that it had before that were like its damaging spells. You know, Rave Enfeeblement. Okay. Well, Rave Sickness is actually it's 2d8 per round. It's first level spell. All right, and then you got Vampiric Touch, which is 3d6, third level spell.
Yeah.
Circle of Death, of course, is the big one. That's Fireball, but necrotic damage. Cloud Kill also is pretty good too, because it stops a lot of things from happening. And I think it does.
Yeah.
Doesn't? Yeah, it does damage.
Oh yeah. It
Yeah.
absolutely deals damage.
And you know, I don't see where they thought, oh, this thing needs to do 75-ish average damage a turn.
I don't even have a problem with the monster. I have a problem with it being a necromancer.
Yeah.
It's just like it's not a necromancer. It's not a spell casting necromancer.
Why did they call it Necrotic Blast? Why did they call it Arcane Blast?
Yeah, it should be something along the lines of Necrotic Blast. It should be an undead. Make it some sort of an undead creature, and then it would be a lot more in line, I feel.
Yeah, so it was a really good fight. The players are left with like single-digit hit points at the end. They came close to wiping a couple times. I think the fight was overall really good. My wife took like 17 daggers to the face. It was funny.
Who the hell's throwing daggers at her?
The bandit captain.
Oh, so there's somebody else in there with them.
Yeah. Well, they let a bandit captain get away, so he was there as well. And the funny part about that is because the room they were looking into was dark, but where my wife was standing, she was like the only illuminated target. So the bandit captain, not having dark vision, being a human, okay, is like hiding in the darkness, okay. But when he peeks out, all he sees is like my wife standing there. So he just starts throwing all of his daggers at her. And like they're doing like 3-4 damage, but like every single one hit. Like just
how many is he throwing around? 3 or 4?
Well, he has 3 attacks around.
Yeah, okay.
So I was giving him 3 dagger throws around. I think I did it 9 times in total, and then for the rest of the encounter, he didn't have his daggers to attack with anymore because I figured he just threw them all.
Yeah.
So I just picture my wife's character Kylin, this bard drow, just like standing there with like 6 daggers, like her shoulder, her leg, her like stomach, just like, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, and like the encounter design, the way you ran it, the way you set it up, it seems fine. It seems powerful and threatening, but it just goes over the top when you give him that ability.
Yeah, so I worked through the spells first, and then started using the ability. And I only used the ability for one turn, and they just ripped through his hit points. So when the time came back for him to either attack again or run away, he dimension doored away.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I was very happy with the fight. I thought it went really well. I was kind of sad they didn't do the other encounter. If they would have kept going east, they would have hit this other encounter that I had planned, which was more trap oriented than it was a big encounter. Mm-hmm. So they would have to have dealt with an entrenched enemy surrounded by traps.
That could be fun.
Yeah. And no one walks around with the tech magic going, so you can't see arcane runes.
Yep.
Until that second that you step on that wrong square, and all of a sudden, there's a fireball. Oh, the fireball went off? That triggers this rune. Okay. That triggers that rune. So, I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, well. You can just do it later. Just throw it in there somewhere along the lines. They'll never be ready or expect it. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Professor Dungeon Master going over different encounter designs. One of them he had talked about was one with basically the players they're going through a bunch of different rooms, smaller rooms and such, and then they come across a sign that effectively points to there are orcs ahead. And the whole thing was laid out so you have to do it almost perfectly. Otherwise, you just get overwhelmed by all of the orcs because there are technically orcs to the right and orcs to the left. And if you don't go the correct direction, then all of the orcs you end up with orcs in front of you and orcs behind you. And then you also have the potential that they call in the chieftain as well, which brings more orcs into the room. But it's just I wish I could remember exactly which video of his it was, but it's one of them I watched in the last month or two, so it's pretty recent.
I actually watched that same video.
It was fascinating to see that.
It was an old Gyzaengaxian module. I think it was.
I think the videos helped my DM is evil, but I could be wrong.
I can actually find it here real quick. His YouTube channel is called Dungeon Craft. And I watched that video myself, and he was talking about how he's TPK'd a lot of players in that one section of the dungeon, and it's an encounter that was created that kind of basically teaches players that they can't just they have to sometimes run away from a fight.
Yeah, you either have to run away or you really have to think about shit. You can't just go in and expect to steamroll it.
Yeah. Oh, crap. Where was that?
Yeah. I wish I could remember exactly which video it is. And maybe if we figure it out, we can link it on the Discord for people.
Oh, I'm gonna sit here until I find it, or else I'm gonna cry.
Well, we may end up just ending the podcast while you look for it, because that might take a little bit.
Yeah.
Let me see. I think it is help my DM is evil. Let me just pull it up real quick and scroll through it.
No, I thought it was Keep on the Borderlands or something like that.
Well, I don't know the name of the module. Yeah, okay, the one I said it was is not. It doesn't seem to be correct. Must have been. Maybe it was an older video. Whatever. But it's fascinating to look at different encounter designs, and that I like looking at incredibly challenging encounters. I mean, yeah, I'm an older player who played through a lot of that kind of stuff back in the day, and you really did sort of have to plan and think about encounters. The fact that you just ran that encounter where they walk into a trap effectively because he knew they're coming, they're immediately fighting the beholder plus this badass NPC plus a bandit, whatever bandit captain or whatever he was.
Bandit captain.
Yeah, like it doesn't seem like a very easy encounter.
No, it was a hard encounter, and the bandit captain moves it to deadly.
Yeah.
So very hard, and then the bandit captain moves it to deadly. And the bandit captain was just because they let him run away. And they let him run away because maybe he'll lead us through the dungeon. Well, kinda, yeah. Led you right to this guy.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, I don't really have any other topics to chat about tonight. You got anything before we wrap this up?
I hope that
you can find that video.
I can find this video. Just trying to talk really slow.
Yeah, well, I think we're past that point now.
No! Okay. Anyways, goodbye. I love you all. Watch my stream.
Yeah.
On Saturdays at 8 p.m.
On Twitch.
Twitch.
Grumpy Dungeon Masters.
Twitch.tv/Grumpy Dungeon Masters. You gotta say the whole thing.
It's like a tribe name quest. You gotta say the whole thing.
Yep.
All right. Well, bye, Craig.
Bye, Craig.